What is going on, everyone out there? Oh, I bet you I haven't even unmiked my own mic here, have I? On Colorcast yet? Yes, no, we're good. There's so many different things I got going on here trying to make sure everything's good. It gets a little crazy, but how's everyone doing today out there in the social media world? We're back for another episode of Count the Bucket. Of course, to my right, but on the screen it's my left. We've got CJ back on here. Welcome back on the show. You're no stranger, obviously. If you want to take a second, welcome yourself, and then just go ahead and shout out everything you got going on, please.
Hey, man. Glad to be back. It's a regular now, so just glad to talk hoops with Michael, Nick as well. No, Nick is out right now. But, just glad to talk some hoops with you. Host of the Garda podcast, co-host of the Hard Count every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern on Unwrapped Sports Network on all platforms. It's great to be back.
Awesome. And, of course, you know that you pretty much are a regular from now on, like it or not. So that's great to know. Also, from what we put on Twitter, we did have some stuff that kind of fell through. We have officially have said that Mark is a third co-host on our show. CJ is the unofficial co-host of the Four Horsemen, I guess, if you would say there. He actually texted last minute and said that he was getting, almost want to say it was like had a strep throat or something come down like that, and he just didn't think he could do it, and Nick had some things come up as well where he couldn't make the show. So thank you, Nick, for jumping in here. Or I said Nick. Thank you, CJ, for jumping in for Nick and Mark in the last second there. But definitely want you on as much as possible. I know I say that to you every time. When you're on here, it's just straight up facts, and I absolutely love it. So with that being said, I'm sorry, as a Knicks fan, what has happened for you guys here recently. This is not even in anything in my notes there. I just seen your hat. I want to say it's a Knicks hat on, ain't it?
Yes, yeah.
I want to say I seen a stat that said like they're 1-9 in the last 10 games that they were winning by like 10 or 20 points, and they've blown the lead. I mean, that's pitiful.
Yeah. You want to start off with the?
I mean, we can. I'm sorry.
That was good. Yeah. 3-17 in their last 20 games. On top of that,
3-17. Oh,
3-17 in the last 20 games. Yeah, 7-game losing streak. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle all year, really. I've been saying this remotely amongst friends and things like that. I've been talking hoops with, seeing and also some Twitter Spaces as well. It's just inconsistency. I mean, first off, there's not a point guard on the team that can be relied on. Kemba Walker was an underwhelming pickup in the offseason. Really wasn't able to do anything in the regular season to the point where he gets shut down for the rest of the season. I mean, it's crazy. So was a liability on defense. Couldn't stay healthy with the left knee. He's been pretty much having those issues since his last year in Charlotte. And Boston, it was pretty much the last little spurt of, what we used to see of Kemba back then. But now, him being on the Knicks, he's probably going to have to come off the bench now if he wants to continue his career as a, kind of like a Vernon Johnson type, Microwave Johnson type build type guy. Mm-hmm. But in terms of a starter, definitely not something that at least contending teams could rely on. Mm-hmm. And Derrick Rose getting hurt. We know about Derrick Rose's injury problems since, the big injury back in 2011 with the ACL. He's really battled through some injuries after that as well with the knee, meniscus as well, and with the ankle problem. And this season got hurt with the ankle. Mm-hmm. They were, right there in that playing spot, when Rose was playing, when he was healthy. It's a guy that could go to the basket and also initiate, takes a lot of pressure off Randall, takes a lot of pressure off RJ. From a scoring standpoint, you can't really double up on those guys. You still got to worry about Rose. He still has that quick first step to get to the basket and create for others, whether it's in the starting lineup or with the closing line or with the secondary unit. And not having him there, it's been a struggle. So you're losing your 2 point guards that you thought going into the season was a strength, but now you don't have them at all. So, and it's so crucial. You look at all these contending teams. Every single championship contending team has a point guard that's consistent, that's reliable, or just a flat out superstar like Ja Morant, like some of these other guys, like Stephen Curry, Luka as well. Like we see with a lot of these teams that are contending for a championship. So that's the main problem. And then also Thibodeau. I mean, just really doesn't have an identity offensively. You don't really know what you're going to get in terms of creativity offensively is really just the same thing. Set a screen for Randall. Randall gets the ball on the high post, and it's just ISO ball stops. No one cuts to the basket. It's not a lot of ball movement. And again, of course, a lot of that has to do with not having the floor general out there to kind of initiate the offense. And it's been tough. RJ is probably the only bright spot of the season. He's played really well. He did struggle last night against the Suns, but throughout the course of the season, he's shown some flashes that he could really be a guy going forward that the Knicks could, trust in terms of giving him a long-term contract. Whether he's a number one option, that still remains to be seen, but it's definitely something that it's reliable. He's reliable. He's a guy that, could be a guy that could score 25 and 5. He could be that type of guy throughout his career. And,
I just want to ask you one thing real quick, because I really wasn't even planning on going this way at all. It just kind of happened because I'm ADHD anyways. But Thibodeau won Coach of the Year last year, right?
Yeah.
What's really happened that's different with this lineup? Like, did everyone else in the East just get that much better, or was the Knicks just a Cinderella team last year that just happened to be good when it was right, and now they're back to normal?
Yeah, I think both points are true. You just look at last year, not bubble season, but there weren't any fans because of the protocols and things of that nature. Training camp was shortened for every team, for all teams. So, it was probably best if you had a veteran type head coach. Guys wanted to buy in. After a disappointing 2019-2020 season for the Knicks. And they brought Derrick Rose in the second half of the season and kind of brought some life to that team, brought a lot of energy. He kind of helped turn the season around because it was definitely looking bleak. And he helped them propel them to that 4th seed. They went on a nice 9-game win streak to kind of end the season. It was good. It was good. It was a lot of energy. And then they played the Hawks. And we all know once the playoffs times comes around, it's all about adjustments. It's all about how well you play, being able to adjust to certain things that the opposing team is going to do. You're seeing one team for 4 games max at minimum. So and they got out coached. They got outclassed. They didn't have a second guy to. RJ was there, but in the offense last year, he was more of a spot up. Wasn't more of a guy that's initiating the offense, kind of like what we're seeing this season. Right. And then this year, the East 1,000% got better. The Bulls are in contention. Miami's back in terms of being a championship team when they were just in the finals 2 years ago. The Bucks are always going to be there. I said the Bulls, the Bulls as well. It's just the Cavs have been playing phenomenal. They got a great coach, JB Bickerstaff. Sixers, now they have James Harden. Even before Harden got there, and B was playing at an MVP level, and Tyrese Maxey was playing great as well, as now being a third guy, but still playing great. So they thought bringing in Fournier, bringing in Kemba, that would kind of add to what they were missing last year when they didn't really have a lot of offensive power, and I think the front office thought that's probably what they needed to win or get over the hump this year. But again, it's just been inconsistent. The defensive scheme as well, I'm not a fan of for Thibodeau. I think it's just time. I think it's just time for for them to let him go, try to figure out what's going on. I know this is 3 coaches in 4 years, for 4 or 5 years with the Knicks. But for me, my thing is, until you get it right, it doesn't matter. Dwayne Casey got fired as a coach of the year. They bring in Nick Nurse, they win a championship. So you got to get the right guy. As long as you get the right guy in there, it doesn't matter. So
that's what's kind of crazy when it comes to at least these coaches. Like, it doesn't matter like if you're really good or bad as far as coaches. It's just, are you really the right fit for the team as far as your coaching style? And that's what's crazy, because even just trying to think, a coach has been fired. Ty Lue, who didn't really do so well, went to Cleveland, won, and then now he's out there. Well, wasn't he an assistant coach for a couple years after he won it with Cleveland? With the Clippers,
and then Doc went to Philly,
And then, of course, he moved up, and you're thinking after you won a championship, you wouldn't think that you would go to an assistant coach again. And just drawing a blank here, to be honest with you.
He had took some time off because of health, I think, and he had he resigned from the Cavs and then came back and then became an assistant. Okay, you're right.
But then even like Mike D'Antoni, I know a few times he's been coach of the year and then fired a few years after that. So, and then rehired somewhere else and then wins coach of the year again. It's kind of crazy how these coaches at one point they're like on top of the world as far as being ranked, and then the next season they can be on the hot seat. But I mean, it is what it is, and that's how kind of sports go. That's why they play the games instead of just saying the lineup shouldn't be the best. But with that being said, the only reason why I really brought up the Knicks, other than your hats, is what a phenomenal game that we seen yesterday, and I hope that you got to watch at least some of it. Except for it didn't really go in your favor, of course, is what a heck of a game that the Suns played. And, of course, it was 115 to 114 with the final stat. But what a great game. I just wanted to highlight. I'm trying to find it just so I say it completely right here. Was from Johnson. I think it's Cam Johnson. He had 38 points, and I don't even think he had a single point in the first quarter. Obviously, he's not a starter, but still, he got minutes in the first quarter. I want to say he had 21 points in the fourth quarter, was it?
Yes.
And even had the dagger for the win. I know it had to hurt for you, a bank shot at that too. Ain't it funny, though, as an athlete, when you see that person shoot that shot, he wasn't trying to bank it, but yet he stood firm and was like, yeah, I meant to do that, and kept on going. Okay, it went in. That's all that matters, but – the Phoenix just find a way to win. And I kind of want to make this episode more about the West because last week we kind of talked about the East a lot. Phoenix did not have, of course, Chris Paul, who's out with a thumb injury. I think he's out 6 to 8 weeks since the All-Star break. Of course, he played in that game somehow a little bit. So we're about, I want to say, 4 to 6 more weeks left before he can come back. Booker did not play in this game. So Cam Johnson stepped it up against a Knicks team, but it's still they're professional athletes. I'm never going to take anything away from any of the last place teams. They're still professional. They're much better than me. They deserve to be there. So awesome game from him. Kudos to him. Suns, like I said, always find a way. This team is just so deep. Can anyone stop the Suns this year?
It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. One, they have the experience of last year going to the finals, having a 2-0 lead in the finals, where a lot of people thought, they were pretty much going to wrap it up and be the champions. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So now they have now not only are they experienced, they're hungry, and they want to get back there. Chris Paul being out, like you said, I mean, it's been unfortunately been an issue for his over the last couple seasons. Towards the end of the year, he's always had some type of injury, even with the Clippers, so with the Hornets as well, Rockets as well with the hamstring against Golden State. So hopefully he could get right. Yeah, hopefully he could get right at the right time. And he will come back, and hopefully they could get on a nice run and try to make another championship run. Devin Booker out with protocols, so he'll be back pretty soon here shortly. And he's been playing really well. Ayton is questioning him. Should they give him the max? Should they give him the money? Last night watching the game, he really didn't impose as well like I maybe expected. I mean, Mitchell Robinson is a solid big. But Mitchell Robinson pretty much dominated him the entire game, and you would think that would amount to a Knicks victory, but unfortunately, like how you broke it down, didn't happen. And they have depth. And again, those two guys went out, and Cam Johnson, campaign made some plays. Jay Crowder hit a big 3 in that game as well down the stretch to give them some life. McCall Bridges. They have some guys like that. JaVale McGee, just kind of doing the dirty work, get you a couple fouls just to be a body.
I want to say this real quick since you said McGee. I almost feel like I owe him an apology, like a straight face-to-face apology. When I watched him play with Golden State, I felt like he was just like the most uncoordinated, the dumbest person out there, really. Not trying to be mean on it, just the way he played. I always felt like he was just completely uncoordinated, couldn't do this, and like it was just somehow he found a way to do it. But the more and more I actually sat there and watch him play, like he really does some nice passes. He gets himself in the right positions. It's almost like he's just clumsy, but yet he's very smart on where he's going and even knowing what's going on in the game. I've actually seen him kind of facilitate a little bit out there, and I just feel like, hey, McGee, I want to say that I am sorry that I didn't think that you were capable of doing it. It might have been the rat tail that you had for a little bit, but, we won't go into that.
Yeah, I think Golden State helped him a lot. Going into a system with an identity, because in Washington, he was kind of like the laughingstock of the league. Shaq in the full MVP, things like that. He was known in a different light. I think going to Golden State, winning some championships, then going to the Lakers, won another championship. It kind of changed how we view him. because he played for, winning teams and contributed to winning basketball. So got to give him a lot of credit. And then, again, lastly, to the last point about the Suns, the coaching. I mean, Monty Williams done a phenomenal job. We talked about D'Antoni and Tom Thibodeau having some stints in other teams. He was the same way. He was with the Hornets. He was younger back then, had to learn, had to grow. Now he's got another opportunity in Phoenix, and he's making the most of it. And again, it all started in the bubble when they went 8-0, and it's just been the trajectory of this team has just been on the rise ever since then. And you got to give him a lot of credit. He didn't win it last year. It was very debatable whether it should have been him or Thibodeau for Coach of the Year. I wouldn't have mind either one.
Either way, yeah.
Either way, but looking at how it's folding right now, that's definitely his award. No question about it. And that's why they're still at the top. We see Golden State, they don't have Draymond. They're struggling a little bit in terms of playmaking and defense. They lose a couple guys, and they're still playing and winning basketball. So it's just they're playing great. They're playing great, and that's why they're one of the best teams in the West and in the league.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing me and Amber used to argue. Well, I won't say we argue. We just debated. I felt like Tom changing the Knicks culture made him the first candidate or the first ballot, if you will, as far as last year. But I felt like number 2 was the Suns coach. And Monty is just such a phenomenal person just in general off the court alone. And I think he was number 2. And this year, I think it's just his hands down just for the back-to-back years that he had. Like, it has to be his. With that being said, speaking of being good coaches, making good decisions in life, I want to read a little bit from a post that I seen. It may take me just a little bit, so bear with me, okay? So in 2008, the Sacramento Kings chose the number 12th player, as in Jason Thompson. They chose him over Serge Ibaka and Nicholas Batum. Obviously, okay. In 2009, Tyreke Evans at number 4 over Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan, and Drew Holiday. I mean, I could kind of understand that because Steph Curry was young, didn't really show too much, I won't say potential because, Davidson was good, but at the small college back then. Okay. So there's strike 2. 2010 took my boy, DeMarcus Cousins at number 5, traded in his prime for Buddy Hield and a pick. Probably should have kept Marcus. All right, 2012, Thomas Robinson, the number 5th overall pick, over Damian Lillard, Harrison Barnes, and Andre Drummond. Okay, Damian Lillard definitely, but the other two, okay. Number 2013, they took Ben McLemore, there we go, at the number 7 over C.J. McCollum, Giannis, Steven Adams. To 2014, that's a bad pick right there if you really just stop thinking of it. That 2013 year is probably the worst, which is crazy if you really think about it because 2012 and 2013, Dame and CJ, they both had an opportunity to take. How cool would it have been if they'd been on the same team? Anyways.
With Cousins.
With Cousins. Oh, wow. 2014, Nick Strauss, number 8. Is that the guy who just had 50 points?
He just got signed by the Celtics. Yeah,
just signed a 2-year deal for the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted and just was in the G League 2 days ago. Was drafted over Zach LaVine, Nurkic. I can't say that. Nurkic. Is that saying it right?
Yep.
Nurkic.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2015, Willie Cauley-Stein at number 6 over Miles Turner and Devin Booker. Now, see, I'm a Kentucky boy. I don't know how you don't take Devin Booker over Willie Cauley-Stein. They're on the same team. Like, you had to see that, right?
Yeah, you could tell me better. Looking at that year, that was Cat, right? That was when Cat went 1. That was 2015.
I would say so. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So it was Booker really didn't. He wasn't the Booker he is today. Obviously, once he got into the league,
was the blue arrow. No, wait, that was Jamal Murray. My bad.
Murray. Yeah, that was, and then so it took him a while. And then once he got going, obviously 71 and against the Celtics, then we kind of saw like, okay, he's going to be a beast. So Cauley-Stein was pretty solid. But at 6. It's tough. Looking at that, you're still going right? Because I know it's Bagley over Luka
Yeah. I'm at 2015. Yeah. Yeah. 2017 Fox, and there's no point even going there. Actually, even in the post it says their only good pick that hasn't been traded away. So
Right.
18 Begley at number 2 over Luka, Trey Young, and Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. And then 2020 we had Halliburton at number 12, the excellent pick, but was traded away and is now averaging 20 and 11 at 52% from the field and 38 from 3-point line for the Pacers. So, granted, if you had each player that was the best, you probably wouldn't have had those draft picks. We know that. But could you just imagine a team, Luka, Giannis, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, and Zach LaVine? I mean, could you just imagine that?
Yeah, it would have been crazy. Some of those picks, the Curry one, Curry was, really had a phenomenal tournament. And I think, and again, he got drafted in 2009, so the game was still the game wasn't. Right. The game really hadn't shifted yet. It took him about 4 years to really get it going. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you could go Jimmer. They took Jimmer. I believe they took Jimmer before. I think the year before you started the draft picks of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've had some bad luck. Obviously, Cousins was a good one, but like you said, they traded him. But Christian, what's going on, man? So
wait for the Rams in 4. Go ahead and put it. But carry on.
So yeah, he's it's the Sacramento. It's difficult, man. I mean, they've had their fair share of missed draft picks. Again, I mean, the team I have the hat. It's the same thing. We took Frank Ntilikina over Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Knox over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's.
Hey, well, I mean, that's okay.
I mean, I know that's a Kentucky guy, but it's
both of them are actually. So
yeah, exactly, both of them are, and one guy's a starting point guard on the Thunder, other one's just sitting on the bench. So Kings. They've had some bad luck. And it also shows how tough it is to draft. It's tough. I mean, you said McCollum and Lillard. Those guys, those guys coming out of college, they didn't really get a lot of love. I mean, Lillard went to Weber State. McCollum came out of Lehigh. So I mean, those are guys that really didn't have a lot of popularity when it was time for them to get drafted. So that's why they dipped a little bit. But yeah, Sacramento, honestly, since the early 2000s, they really haven't really got it going, because they used to be a really good team. They had a great team: Rick Adelman, Stojakovic, Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, and those guys. They were really good.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because in the NBA, it's kind of weird. I say it's kind of weird. Like, you can have your favorite teams, which for you, it's the Knicks, I'm sure. And then you kind of have these other teams that they came out of nowhere. I kind of like them a little bit, That's kind of cool, whatever. They got some swag. I'm going to, okay, whatever. Granted, I know I'm old. I'm about to be 36 in April. But I want to say in one of my high school yearbooks, it does those, what do they call those, capsules? It had in there, it said the team, they're the oncoming team, and it had Sacramento Kings because we had Bibby. What was the
Jason Williams as well.
Williams, you totally read my mind there.
Chocolate,
yes, and he really changed the team, I think, because that was just a steal of a person that you just took off of the street ball, basically. So that team almost made, I really feel like, made people like the Kings and kind of always think, okay, if they start coming again, I could easily like this team a little bit. And I, for one, since the early 2000s, have always been like, okay, they're close. Buddy Hield, okay, that's a good player. Maybe he can turn it around. Okay, he's been re-picked by him, traded for him again 15 times. Maybe now he's going to be good. But it's just somehow they always suck, And they went 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16 it doesn't have on here. I mean, they went 3 or 4 straight years where they could have had Dame, Giannis. They could have had Zach LaVine.
Yeah, Giannis was tough too. And nobody thought that Giannis would be this. Nobody.
Yeah. No.
It took a while. It took a while for him.
Especially if you see the way he looks. And I ain't trying to be mad or mean or anything, but even his tone, the way he says, you kind of think, okay, he's not going to be strong or anything. Just that little high-pitched voice, I'm sure that probably played into it a little bit. But now, hey, when he speaks, I don't care how high he is. You're going to be listening to him, probably with some fear there too, because he means business, and I love it now. But
it's so difficult. It's so difficult, and it looks so bad because they've had so many misses consecutively.
yes,
So that's what makes it look worse.
and they had it right this year too, and they traded it away.
Yes, you could say, yep. I had Halliburton, but the thing is, then they go draft Davion Mitchell when they already had two guards. It was just weird. It was weird over there in Sacramento. I'm not really sure what's going on. I mean, coming from a fan of a team with front office issues historically, they're really like the Knicks of the West. Really, I mean, if you think about it in terms of their misses and everything, but then also it's just so tough. It's so tough to measure these guys. What's in these guys' chests, their work ethic, how well they play.
Right.
You just don't know because, again, you see a late bloomer like Giannis, see a late bloomer like Curry. So it's difficult, man, but very unfortunate for Kings fans.
It is, and I just thinking, is there any other team that you think, like on paper, when you look at this, that have missed as bad as them other than the Knicks? Like, is there anyone else you can think off the top of your head? I haven't really thought about it. Just kind of threw that on us here. I'm trying to think myself, really.
Yeah, I mean the Pistons over the last couple of years, hasn't been great. I know you said Drummond. They took Drummond.
Right.
We'll see what happens with Cade. I like Cade. I like the Cade pick. Killian Hayes still kind of a question mark.
Yeah.
Those two teams are obviously the most glaring that I could think of off the top of my head, but. It's very difficult to draft. It's very difficult to draft.
Could you possibly say the Pelicans soon?
I'll hold off on that. I mean, I still think Zion is special. I mean, he only missed 11 games last year out of 72.
Oh, really? It feels like he missed still half last year.
Yeah, it does. But he only missed 11.
Okay.
And reportedly from Woj, he's supposed to be coming back, or towards the end of the season. So if they can make that nice little push, I think that's a nice little trio they got over there and on the Pelicans. So I'll hold off on Zion for now. But yeah, it's a difficult task being a GM, man. Being these scouting departments, your job is on the line. It's your livelihood.
What about Pacers? How about them? I mean, I think of Paul George and then Oladipo, but they never could really get anyone with them,
Paul George, I think they drafted Danny Granger back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Roy Hibbert as well. They had they had their time back when Frank Vogel, coaching the Lakers now, but he was in his quote unquote prime coaching career. They had a solid team over there.
Got a few comments in here. One, we'll go ahead and bring it in. It's Ethan here on our YouTube. Ethan, thank you, and even the other people, thank you for joining us on YouTube. We do appreciate that. Everyone else, just a little shout out to you real quick. Go to YouTube. It's Unwrapped Sports Network. You can find every one of our videos that we all do, and anyone that's in the Unwrapped should be funneled through there. We'd really appreciate all the subscriptions and likes as well. So his question here is just, who's your MVP so far? We actually kind of talked about this last week. I still feel like it kind of has to be DeMar on my end. If not him, I'm going to go still with the dark horse that was mentioned last week that I hadn't really paid much attention to, which is amazing that I didn't think of MVP, is John Morant. Just what he's been doing with his team. I want to say he had 50 points. That Hail Mary pass that he caught from Steven Adams and then catch in the air and shoot before the buzzer go off. I think it was 0.4 seconds.
Insane.
This whole atmosphere that they've created is just winners, and it's contagious for them. I'm going to go either one of them, even though I don't put Embiid or the Joker too far behind them. What about you?
Man, it's tough. It's really difficult, man. This is definitely one of the most competitive races I've seen in a long time, in a very long time. You can really make an argument for five guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think anybody would, have, a big issue with it. I said DeMar last week. I'm gonna stick with it for now. But yeah, Ja's definitely making a case for the award. I mean, again, Desmond Bain, Dillon Brooks, Jared Jackson, they're good players, but they're not, all-star type players that he has around. He doesn't have another, he doesn't have a Batman or a Robin, essentially, with the Grizzlies. And they're the third seed in the Western Conference. And a lot of that has to do with him. He's a point guard averaging the most points in the paint. It's insane.
That's crazy.
So he's having a phenomenal season. So I'd say DeMar, Ja for now. DeMar, Ja, Embiid. I mean, Embiid still, getting 25 and 10, 25 and 12, despite Harden being there, because Harden is still unselfish as a passer. So his numbers weren't going to diminish that much.
And Embiid is actually shown to be unselfish too.
Oh, 100%. Very underrated passer. Very underrated passer. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they think of, passing, they automatically think Jokic. But yeah, he's a really good passer as well. Jokic is going to be in that discussion. I mean, again, they don't have Michael Porter Jr., they don't have Jamal Murray, and they're still right there in contention as a 6th seed. Luka, I think Luka got in there a little bit as well. He's playing great basketball so far. I think they're 22-6 in their last 28 games. Had a big time win against the Warriors last Sunday after being down 21 in the fourth quarter. Big win, beat the Lakers, but everybody's beating the Lakers nowadays. So I don't know how big of an accomplishment that is. But LeBron and Westbrook are still out there. Let's just say that. But yeah, Luke is playing great, almost averaging a triple-double. And he's 23 years old. He's going to be the face of the league. He's going to have a few of those definitely by the end of his career.
He's creeped them up into the 5th spot. I hadn't even realized they're up that high now. So
yeah, 5th spot. And again, he's another. It's just like Ja a little bit, where they don't have. They traded Porzingis. Porzingis was supposed to be that second guy, but that didn't work out. Now they have a bunch of guys that could Dinwiddie, kind of an off-ball guard, could put the ball on the floor, go to the bucket as well, shoot it, spot up in certain moments. So. Yeah, I think you got to go. I would say DeMar, Ja, Embiid. I got Luka, and then Giannis and Jokic be my top 6 guys right now.
Okay, I didn't say Giannis.
Yeah. Again, Giannis is always going to be in the discussion. Always, like I said last week, it's like the LeBron effect.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I almost feel like Giannis is in the conversation so much that it's almost like, okay, we kind of expect this. We kind of need new faces in there, but. Bringing in the other comment from Nick here real quick. It just says he thinks Zion's done for the year. He thinks. I've said that all year until now. We've got the information that he's supposed to be back. I don't know what's going to go on that. He looks chubbier than I do, so it's going to be tough for him. But, if he goes hangs out with James Harden for a weekend, apparently you can lose 100 pounds in a weekend. So the league needs him. I know I'm not a huge fan of him because I don't really like Duke too much because I'm a Kentucky boy. Shout out Coach K losing your last game at home. But
that was tough. I watched that whole game.
So, I hope he's back for the league. And, obviously for himself. I don't like him as a person. That would just be cruel. But if anything, he is supposed to be the franchise or the face of the league soon. So, I hope he is back. I hope he stays healthy. And I hope he has a good season. I hope a career as well. But I don't know if they bring him back. I know they're saying that he's back right now, but why would you bring him back? Let me look at the standings here because they're way out, aren't they?
Yeah, they're trying to get in the 10th, I think the 10th or 9th spot.
Yep. Yeah. They are 10 right now, 27-36. So, they're still in the playing game, which would be good, I guess. So, I can see you bringing him back, but I wouldn't rush him in. I would definitely minute restrict him for the longest time. If things start to go south and it looks like we don't have a shot being a plan, I would just pull the plug and say, hey, just go ahead and rest the rest of the year. Enjoy those chicken fingers on the sideline and just watch the game. Right? Do you think he's done or do you think he plays? I know they said he's back with the team, but still don't mean playing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If he's 100%, put him out there, bro. Listen, he's still very young, still 21 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So, he's dealt with some injuries since Duke. I'm a big fan. I've been a fan since high school. Obviously,
is he really just 21 still? I'm sorry I interrupt you there, but I feel like he's been in the league for 10 years already.
Nah, yeah, it's how much time he's missed. Look at a guy. Look at Embiid. Embiid missed a lot of time in the beginning of his career with the foot, with some back injuries. And once he was able to get healthy, then we start to see how dominant he is of a player. So I really hope that happens for Zion. He could have a couple seasons where he's healthy, he's on the court. Because I see people talking about Zion. Zion said, why would Zion go to the Knicks for what? It looks like right now David Griffin's trying to put a winning team around him when he gets back. BI is better than any player right now than on the Knicks. So, and then McCollum also is light years better than anybody on the Knicks right now. So it makes no sense for that pipe dream.
I think CJ is one of the most underrated players in our league. I really do. I've always said that. So yeah, I think when he does come back, the Pelicans could be a little dangerous team.
Definitely, yeah. And I hope he does. If he's healthy, put him out there, man. Put him out there. He's dominant in the paint. Valanciunas is also a really solid big man. He can space the floor. He can post up. He can do some things as well. Yeah, let him. Yeah, have him play, man. I mean, it's time. It's time. You said he might be the face of the league. I think him, Luka, Ja. I think those three guys right there could definitely be in the running for the face of the league after LeBron hangs it up.
I hate to jinx him, but Ja just scares me as far as being the face of the league because I won't say his style, but the way he just his aerial attack reminds me of Derrick Rose. And it just, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, at some point there's going to be something happen to a knee. And obviously I don't wish that at all, but I have the fear of that, I guess, because there's just, I won't say careless, but the 100% body on the line to win at all costs with him, it makes me a little nervous. Now, can he be the face of the league? Absolutely. But I'm just afraid that the wear and tear of his body, what he's going to do, and then in the same sentence, we're talking about Zion too, of everything there. So, but I say that and worry about an injury, but you never know if an injury is going to happen. It's just, that's a part of the game, so it's part of life. So I think Ja being the face would be phenomenal. Where he went to Murray State, that was so cool. A small college like that, and now coming into the NBA where everybody was afraid to take him number one because of the small college, and now he comes up and would be the face. I think that would be phenomenal. But speaking of these two teams here, because they're kind of something that I've been wondering about myself, and this was something broke earlier today, is from the Lakers front office, I guess you'll say. Actually, I'm going to say two things because this is what I put in our notes is Westbrook, quote unquote, impossible to return next year is what has been reported from the front office of the Lakers organization. But now, actually, while I was getting in the shower before the show, because I had to work pretty much. Okay, Barry even chimed in and said, impossible sounds about right. But I also read something on Bleacher Report that the Lakers front office are trying to really pressure Vogel to bench Westbrook. And that really makes me wonder, what does that bench mean? Because, in the past, I think you and I have talked about this, like we think that he should be considered the sixth man of the year, come off the bench with the second string. Or are they talking about bench because he's not playing well? So it makes me wonder what exactly that term that they're using, Vogel is fighting back and not giving into that. What are you reading into this? Because to me, I'm almost reading both. Like I want it to be sixth man of the year potential, but I almost think that Westbrook's demeanor is almost they're just headbutting. Hey, I want to play. I want to be the star. Oh, I can't be it. Well, screw y'all. Okay, well then just be benched for the rest of the year. Am I looking too much into it? You think?
No, I don't think so. I think this has been a discussion that was had since their first game of the season. People were saying Russ should be coming off the bench.
Right.
So I don't think it's that far off in terms of how you feel about it. For me, it's just I feel like it. I mean, what does it really do? Because at the end of the day, they still don't have enough shooters, and for Russ, you need shooters around him. So whether
that's what Perry even said in there.
Yeah, whether he's in
around him.
But who's the shooters on the Lakers? That's the thing. Like
Malik Monk. That's all you need.
Yeah, Monk, Melo. I mean, those are probably the only consistent guys that you would probably think that could knock down that shot outside of LeBron, who's not really a great 3-point shooter. He's he's good. So if the team was built a little different, and then the starting lineup wasn't working, then yeah, I would agree. But it doesn't make any sense right now because again, what's the second unit? What's it going to look like?
You got me on that.
It would be what? It'd be Russ, THT, Melo. Monk starts now, so that would change a little bit. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
you'd have to have Monk though, there, right? Who would be the starter?
But Monk, exactly. Monk could be in the starting lineup.
Right.
So I don't know. And then again, with AD being out, it just makes everything so weird in terms of lineups and rotations. So I just think right now, to me, it's a lost season regardless. I mean, even if AD comes back, I don't see a type of magical type season to where they're gonna
signing of DJ Augustine helps any. I mean, I know he's been out of the league, but
yeah, it's a spot up. He's a spot up guy. You know, he could put the ball on the floor a little bit. I mean, he's 35. You know, not really expecting too much from him right now at this point in his career. I don't know. I feel like they could have got a shooter. They could have got Nick Stauskas that we were talking about. Yeah. They could have picked him up. Celtics went and got him. Floor spacer. Signed him to a 2-year deal. I mean, he may not be the best defender, but at least we know when LeBron draws in the defense, he could kick it out to a guy that we know is at least good enough to knock down some shots. So, yeah.
I pulled up the roster on ESPN here, and I'm still looking like, I mean.
Yeah, Vogel doesn't play Dwight. He doesn't play Dwight at all. So that's why I'm not even adding him to any type of rotations. Right. So it's just.
I mean, Kendrick Nunn.
Nunn hasn't played all year.
Yeah, I mean.
It's weird. I mean, I think he would help them a lot. He would help them tremendously because he is a bucket. He can definitely shoot the ball. And he's a shooter, but he just hasn't been on the court. Hasn't been on the court at all. I think he would have definitely helped this team a lot from a scoring standpoint, and also spacing standpoint.
Is he hurt?
Yeah, he's hurt. He's been having like knee issues. I'm not sure what the exact injury is, but he hasn't played a single game all year. You know. There were reports that, you know, he would come back, but we're in March now, so
right.
I don't know.
Now,
I don't know.
Is Austin Reeves the starter or is it Monk?
Reeves and Monk start.
Okay, so
right now with AD being out, they're both in the starting lineup.
Okay,
they got LeBron up to 5. Yeah.
My goodness. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. The Lakers suck. And we're happy about that. There's no fixing them. We tried. Like, who? I know they probably wouldn't get him, but I wish they could go and talk to like even JJ Redick. Like, hey, we know that you're retired, but just come on out of retirement. Come out here. Don't even have to really do anything. Just stay at the 3-point line. Let us pass it to you. You shoot it. Maybe play some defense. You're okay on defense, but just do that for us.
Man, he's probably getting a nice bag from ESPN.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to chill. Yeah, so he's probably done at this point. That's probably something they should have. They should have did that a few years ago.
Yeah. Bring back Ray Allen since Steph passed his 3-point contest. Just have him out there.
Bring back Ray. I think Ray could knock down a couple right now. I wouldn't doubt it.
Absolutely. So the Lakers, you guys just suck, and it's impossible. So where do you think, since they're saying impossible for next year, where do you think you may end up? Because I think the Knicks could be a possibility.
Oh, man, don't say that, bro.
I'm sorry. I really am. But I think the Knicks could be a landing spot for him. Just because he's going to sell tickets. Everyone's going to love him. They lack leadership, really. And that would take a lot of pressure off of Randall, I think, to have that star point guard. But you got to get shooters on that team too. Yeah,
again, it's like a poor man's version of the Lakers if he pulls up, because Randall's, you know, his shooting has diminished since last year.
Randall's LeBron. I mean, you know, as far as the style.
Right. In terms of comparisons, right. And situation, something like that. RJ just hasn't, you know, he's good, but he's not a guy that you would think he's a marksman from the 3-point line. And Russell needs shooters around him, man. Like, that's why him and Bill worked out, because Bill could spot up and he could put the ball on the floor. That's why it worked so well for them, and that's why it worked so well when he had KD there, because KD could do the same thing. But you know, he's really just he's a one-dimensional guy when it comes to, he's just a scorer. He's going to drive to the basket, and then also he's not making his free throws, he's not making his mid-range shots. So it's very tough to judge him right now. Him on the Knicks, I don't think that makes the Knicks better. I just think it's just going to be, you know, there are going to be some exciting plays. Yeah, there might be some games where he goes off, has a triple-double, but is it winning basketball? Will it
Right.
commit to winning basketball? And I'm just not sure about that. And if Thibodeau's still the head coach, it's a disaster because it's bad enough he doesn't have any type of offensive creativity as a coach.
Right.
So you add a Russ to the fold. It's not a good look. I don't know the best team for him right now, man. I really don't. You need certain things have to be built around him. And I don't know if a team is really, willing to do that for Russ right now at this stage of his career. When he's 26, 27, yeah, of course. He still has the athleticism. He still has a capable jump shot in terms of a mid-range shot.
Mm-hmm.
But even though last year he played great, I don't know if teams are going to, try to, build their team around Russ at this stage of his career. So
if he's 23, yes, because
right.
you can improve him. But he's declining now, and not taking anything from him. So I kind of interrupted you there. I apologize. I've done it twice now. But yeah, it's weird because he's like 1 year, I think it is, away from being the most triple-double king, and now we're talking about how bad of a player he is. It's really kind of comical, really. But I just hate it for him because, he will do anything to win. He is very competitive. And it's just the league, I almost feel, as a point guard for him, is just evolved away from him. And now it's kind of playing its course where it's almost passed him up. And I hate to say it like that, but what else can they do for him?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I know he puts a lot of work in the off season, but to me, it's just confusing to me how he was never able to get his jump shot down, get his form together to where it's at least consistent. I mean, no one's asking you to be Curry, but I mean, if you can at least give me 35, 36% from three, that's capable. Even his mid-range shot isn't what it was. It's like every time he shoots it, he's aiming for the backboard. It's tough, man. It's tough.
I think it's all mental.
Missing layups. It's mental.
Yeah.
But we've seen this over the last couple seasons, even before he went to LA. So, this has been a problem for him, honestly, his whole career. Me personally, go back to OKC days. I feel like Scott Brooks. I mean, I feel like he was more of a. To me, he was the wrong coach for them, in OKC. And what I mean by yes, I know they went to the finals with him as a head coach, but I feel like he didn't hone in on the certain things that Russ needed to work on back then. Maybe he wasn't receiving of it. I don't know. I don't think he would be, but I feel like if they had a better coach back then that could kind of fix some of those issues that he was having,
still be together.
Those habits probably would have diminished. Those habits probably would have diminished towards the end of his, towards this part of his career, and maybe we're not seeing this type of player. So, I don't know what team is going to take him right now. It's going to be tough. I mean, this is on LeBron too. LeBron wanted Russ. He wanted to change the narrative around Russ in terms of can win a championship with this guy. I respect it, but once you go out on the court, you kind of see it for what it is.
Hopefully they can figure things out, especially for him, because I mean he is a workaholic and it puts in, the efforts there, and you just hate it for him. But I don't know how to bring this part up. I'm trying to do a transition here. I hate this for him. As I go into my next topic, I hate it for him, but I hate this so much for our next topic of what happened to a WNBA player. As it's been broken news today that Brittany, I always want to say Grinder and put the D in there, but it's not Griner. And what happened today, obviously, we know the WNBA. I'm not dogging anywhere here, but they don't make as much money as the NBA players do. So sometimes these women go overseas and play elsewhere. Well, Brittany actually plays overseas in Russia. Has been doing it for years, I want to say. And actually on her way traveling, I don't know where, but it was just broke that they found some type of substance in her bag. Let me not just use the word substance because that sounds a little more suspicious. It was a vape pen, right?
Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they found some type of vape pen. I don't know if it was marijuana oil, vape, CBD oil or something like that. But apparently whatever it was, it's illegal in Russia. So she's been detained. And what's crazy is we just heard this today. So I was like, hey, that's kind of interesting. We at least need to talk about it because Brittany is probably one of the most well-known WNBA players, probably I'll say top 5 of what most people know of the WNBA. So with that being said, then as it kind of gets more information that we're finding out, we now find out that she's been detained for almost 3 weeks, and we just now finding this out about a WNBA star has been detained for this long. But on this such case to us, I know it sounds crazy because in some states CBD substance as far as vape pens are illegal. Apparently, okay, I'm sorry. That sounds odd. Apparently, what has happened in that is it's legal in some of our places here, but in Russia it's completely not legal, and she may actually serve up to 10 years in prison for this. So it's kind of super crazy. Totally fine there. Everyone watching the stream, CJ was just having some connection problems. He said he's going to jump right back in. So it's kind of crazy, and I don't know what's going to go on with this, as I was hoping I could talk with CJ a little bit on this, but I'm really interested, especially with Russia, what's going on, and I'm not going to get the political part of this, what's going to go on in this situation, because Brittany Griner is a very, very popular person as far as from I'll say a celebrity, being a athlete, a huge athlete as that, doing something that in our country is actually legal. And I understand she probably took it from the United States there, took in recreational, whatever, something that is, like I said, legal here to do there in her time on her professional sports team there. I kind of feel like negotiations should go on there, be like, hey, we're sorry for this, but like, it's okay here. Mistakes happen. Is there any kind of thing that we could do to get her back home and just get this over with? Because, I mean, for her to go to prison for 10 years over this, it almost sounds crazy to me. But you never know when, especially with Russia, what's going on with them and the whole war. And that's all I really want to say on that as far as being political, just with the war. So hopefully, hopefully soon CJ can come back in here with his connections here. But I just wanted to go on with that. Wanted to at least mention it because I feel like that's some very important news that Brittany has been detained. And I like at least the word using the detain so much on there. It's just very crazy of the situations going on. And I want to try to keep read up on this and see what's going on with this because it's very odd what the outcome could be on this. So our next topic I wanted to go on to was how the West is going to finish on out. It's a very close race, and one thing that me and CJ has talked about so much is how the front 2 runners really are miles ahead of everyone else. But those gaps have started to close in as their season starts to get more towards the final turn or the fourth quarter, if you will, of the season. You've got the Suns in first, and their record, of course, is set 51-12, followed by the Warriors at 43-20. They're 8 games out of first, and now you have the Grizzlies, who we talked about, Ja with a phenomenal year that they're doing or having right now, MVP number 2, I think, at 8.5 games out of first place. So really, it's almost a 3-headed race for first place, in my opinion, going on with this. But then it kind of gets interesting as you look at the 4 through. Got a little beep here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Got him back. Thank goodness, because it was so weird being on here by myself. But I was pushing through strong. But CJ, I don't know what all you heard, but I was just kind of going into the West as far as the record, how we think it's going to pan out. I went ahead and said the Suns are in first, 8-game lead over the Warriors and 8.5 over the Grizzlies. We know those are the 3-headed top dogs in the West. And then after that was where I think it gets interesting. You got, I'm going to go in order. 4th place, Jazz, Mavericks, Suns. And let's see here. I'm sorry. I went on farther. I think the Suns, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Clippers. That's all at 8th place. And that is, get back to my notes here. So 5th place through 8th place are all separated by just 5 games. And even going farther, 9th place through 13 are only separated by 4.5 games. So I want to ask you, do you think it's going to change much? Because, I mean, obviously it's going to change some, but do you think anyone's going to surprise us and come out of the top in the play-in games or maybe even make it to the 6th seed and have the spot in there? And I'll just go ahead and say the 6th and up real quick. Excuse me. Right now, 6 is the Nuggets, 5's the Mavericks, 4's the Jazz, 3's Grizzlies, Warriors, and Suns.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets are probably the only really wild card just because they don't have, 2 of their main guys there right now. So if Murray and MPJ come back, I don't know, how, of course, it might take a while. I don't know if they're going to come back, right before the season ends or during the playoffs.
I did hear playoffs is what, at least with Murray, they said probably could be back for playoffs.
Okay. All right. But yeah, hopefully if MPJ could come back before then, kind of get his conditioning together, get his conditioning right. I think that'll definitely help them. They could be a wild card. That would be Nuggets, Grizzlies first round. Which would be a great first round series. And if those guys are there, I think a lot of people might take Denver in that series. If those guys are playing with Jokic and with the other guys that they have. So that in the Western Conference, that'll probably be the only real wild card to me. But other than that, I still feel like Phoenix is still a top dog, and until somebody beats them, it's going to be very difficult because, again, like we talked about at the top of the show, their chemistry and their experience it's something that probably only the Warriors, probably the only team that can really match that.
Mm-hmm. What about the Mavericks and the Jazz matchup if it were to finish right now? Because I feel like the Mavericks with that trade kind of have turned, I won't say turn the corner and changed it around, but the Jazz last year as the 1 seed crap the bed, as they say, in the playoffs. I could see the Mavericks having an upset in that series.
Yeah, 100%. I don't even think people would consider an upset. I mean, even though they're a 5 seed, even though it's a 4 or 5 seed, which I understand what your point is, but I think a lot of people would take Dallas because of what we've seen from Utah over the last 4 or 5 years, where they look good in the regular season, but then come playoff time, again, they just don't have that second guy next to Mitchell that you can rely on in the playoffs to get you a bucket consistently. And honestly, maybe the Mavericks really don't have that either. But, I think that'd be a nice 7-game series. And then again, we're looking at Luka. We're looking at Luka, got bounced out in the first round 2 years in a row to the Clippers. So this is a big year for him to kind of at least get past the first round and try to make some noise and, really mark his stamp into the playoffs because we know that's where legends are made, man. They're made in the playoffs. So it's a good matchup for them. I think it'd be a great chess match between Quinn Snyder and Jason Kidd. From both defensive guys. But if I was to pick right now, I'd go with Dallas.
I would too. And Colin, welcome to the show. Another unwrapped guy. Appreciate it.
Welcome, man.
Just going to ask you this too. The 13 through 11 are 13's the Kings, Spurs, 12, Trailblazers at 11. The Pelicans are the 10th spot, the last spot there. And they are 3.5 games from that 10th spot. Do you think any of those three could take over the Pelicans in that? Or do you even think the Lakers could play their way out of the play-in game? Because they are 1.5 games out of the play-in. They're in the 9th spot right now. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say I think the Lakers may not actually make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. It's very possible they don't make the play-in, man. Again, I'm just not a fan of how they're playing right now. Really, all you have to do against them is play zone because they don't have shooters.
Pack it in.
So just pack in the paint. We know what Russ wants to do. We know what LeBron usually more than likely to not wants to do, which is attack the paint. And if there's no shooters in there, your half-court offense is shot. So then you get stops, transition buckets. They're already an older team, so you can't really count on them defensively to get primary stops in key situations. They're going to need AD, LeBron, AD, Russ. I think a lot of people are still, banking on it. If they're in there, they like their, people like their chances. But just from what I've seen throughout the entire year, and consistent, even when all three of those guys are there together, it just hasn't been consistent enough for me to say that, they're going to be a play. They could, they come out to play-in and they could easily miss the playoffs. Like you said, they could easily miss the playoffs. And again, Frank Vogel is a good coach, not a great coach. And I probably trust some of those other guys and situations, late game situations, from a coaching standpoint.
I'm just sitting here thinking, not that I've gambled or anything. Well, I mean, I have. I used to play poker all the time in college. Love Texas Hold'em. But if Lakers were to finish the season in the 10th spot and end up playing the Timberwolves, I mean, obviously the Lakers would quote unquote be the underdogs, but on a
for one game.
Spot,
yeah, I would go. I think
that would be some money just to put on there, and no matter what it is. Like, I mean, I don't care what. Be like, it's the Lakers, it's LeBron. I'll put $10 on that. I mean, surely to goodness I can turn that around on something there. Although I love
I
to see what the
think teams would
Timberwolves are
take the.
doing.
Yeah, I think people would take the Lakers. I think people would take the
Yeah.
Lakers, and just when you need a one game,
Yeah.
people still. I mean, you still can't count out LeBron, man.
Mhm.
They did it last year, and they ultimately. Again, this is a team last year. They were up 2-1 against the Suns before AD, pulled his groin. So, but I just think this year is completely different. They don't have the spacing. They don't have those guys. But against Minnesota, yeah, I'd go with the Lakers in that series just because of the inexperience that Minnesota has.
Mhm. Let's see here. I'm really liking the Nuggets if everyone comes back and are conditioned. I don't know if they could beat the Grizzlies. I'm not going to go there that far, but it would be nice. Maybe I should go there. Maybe that's my sign. But just looking here, I want to say the Spurs, they always find a way to get in, at least to play in. If Zion comes back, I really like CJ. I don't want to say the Pelicans fall out. So I'm going to actually say if the team does fall out of the top 10, it's going to be the Lakers and my Spurs. I say that you just respect the Spurs. The Spurs will be in there at the 10 spot. You got a problem with that, or you disagree completely on there?
You think the Lakers will be in that 10th spot?
I think the Lakers
Spurs
might be. Yeah, I think the Spurs may be in the 10, and the Lakers end up in the 11th spot.
Okay.
Because that chemistry, like, listen, I mean, I've been on teams where everything went so well, and I've been on that same team and everything just went so bad. And I mean, I know this is going to sound crazy that I'm going to use this as my analogy. I had the same team a few years ago in my church league that I played on, and we really we had the best team as far. Well, I'll say we had the second best team, and we almost lost probably, I would say, every game but like 3, and we seriously were that good. But we always lost the nail biters. Like every game we played came down to like 2 points, 3 points, or something like that, and we hated it, and we hated each other because we were losing. The very next year, the exact same team, nobody changed anything, but we said, listen, we're not going to put the pressure on us. Let's just go in here and have fun. Everyone's going to play on the team anyways, and, kind of everyone get to play more times. We ended up going undefeated. Well, we lost one game to the best team. Ended up beating everyone else, and it was so much more chemistry and much more of a better atmosphere. When I look at this Lakers team, I just sit there and think, like, this atmosphere that these guys have are just absolutely, like, it takes the oxygen out of the air or out of the room. I feel like I would not want to even be in the locker room with them. And I just feel like it's just going to keep crumbling. Like, we keep hearing so many breaking things going on in the locker rooms now. Like the GMs wanting this. Now, all of a sudden, they've put on Bleacher Report that LeBron really was pushing for Caruso to be signed back. I mean, why are we hearing all these things randomly now?
Well, one they're losing. Even though LeBron has 49 right now in this game against the Warriors, which is insane.
What's the
second?
score?
It's 197 Lakers. LeBron's really just carrying the team right now.
Oh,
but
okay.
7 minutes to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're losing, which is something we don't really see with a LeBron. We haven't seen with a LeBron-led team since early Cavs days.
Right.
It's the Lakers. So, everything is heightened in terms of popularity, media, sources and things of that nature. So, yeah, so we're going to see all these articles come out of nowhere now that, they're losing now and they're not playing well. And we see the product on the court and it doesn't look great. So yeah, that's why I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, they got the guys, the people in the media, somebody's going to want to read it because, again, it's believable because of how bad, they're playing right now.
Granted, I was the one that shared it in our NBA chat, but someone put on there about LeBron saying that they needed a soundproof barrier in the stadiums or in the arenas now, but he didn't want fans even if it kept up. Like, it sounds believable at some of the stuff that's being said. So, granted, it's fake news, but there's a lot of stuff that is just going on right now that I just feel like this team is just – in shambles, really. That's just all I can say. Just in shambles.
Yeah, they are. They are. They still have some games left to try to figure it out, but I don't know, man. I just don't see them really making a playoff run. They don't have the depth. They don't have the right guys around their superstars to really make that run.
Absolutely not. Have you seen there's a prediction of a trade that could happen during the offseason. Have you seen it?
From the Lakers standpoint?
Yes, for LeBron, trading LeBron away.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can see it here real quick.
Yeah, I think I saw Colin Cowherd come out with something, Tyler Hero, 3 first-round picks, and Bam or something like.
Even better.
Even better.
Oh, I wish I could find it quick. But when I seen that, I was like, that's really not going to happen. I'm getting close, I think. I remember some of these articles. I'll give it a few more looks here. Okay, I didn't see it. But it was LeBron James traded for, and I'm just going to try to name it off the top of my head who it was. I want to say Andrew Wiggins, Wiseman, I want to say Draymond Green, and a pick to go to Golden State.
Nah, man. I don't even think the Warriors do that, make that trade, because you're losing all your depth. You're losing all your depth. Again, this is what I'm saying. These writers, they're smart. They're trying to capitalize.
Where does LeBron go anywhere and have depth? He doesn't ever have depth. Like, to get LeBron, you sacrifice depth. But yeah, right. I don't think it ever happens.
Yeah, I don't think it ever happens. I mean, usually, again, with these championship LeBron-led teams, they win it. They build around LeBron. They got some mid-level exception guys, that can knock down shots and fill in a role. But shooters, exactly, floor spacers, which they don't have with the Lakers, which is why they've been struggling. But all these trade LeBron scenarios, I understand the logic in a way, because again, you don't have any draft picks. You lost all your draft picks when you acquired AD. But to me, I would trade AD and Russ and try to get some of that back before I even think about trading LeBron, because again, LeBron's still playing at a high level at 37 years old, and you could still put a solid team around him. He's still playing that great to where you could still win, but you just have to build the team the right way. And I think Rob Pelinka, the front office, they've done a poor job of that.
But do you really think – oh, sorry. That was 5 days ago. I just don't think you can get too much on a trade value for Westbrook at this point in his career. That's just me personally. Granted, I think it would be hilarious to trade LeBron James, but I think really you trade AD and trying to make something go on with that. And I know that even sounds crazy, because personally I would try to make a future with the Lakers around Anthony Davis, because we already know LeBron James says he wants to play with his son. So whenever he comes up, he's a junior in high school, is it?
Yeah.
So you're thinking in 3 years tops, LeBron possibly is leaving to go play with his son somewhere.
Right. Yeah, but it's tough building around AD because he just can't stay healthy.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Street clothes Davis. I mean, he's getting all these names. Right. So it's tough to build around a guy if he's not on the court. His availability is always in question. And LeBron's availability is never in question. I mean, he's missed some time here since his time with the Lakers, but he's more durable definitely than AD, even though he's an older player.
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, I think that really about wraps it up. We're almost at 11 o'clock. I got to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning. So, let's see here. Miami. Here we got something. Oh, and it's from Colin. So that's going to be great. Suggested LeBron should go back to Miami. Nope, never mind. We're stopping there. Oh, that's what you was talking about earlier, I think.
Yeah, I was talking about earlier, yeah.
For Lowry, Hero, Robinson, and some picks. Thoughts? I'm going to be truthful. I don't think he will ever go back to Miami. I don't think Pat Riley would ever take him back. And I know he's LeBron freaking James, but that culture that they have now, I just don't think you even touch it. You got Jimmy leading that head. You got Bam that is still improving. If he could work on a jump shot and be better than Westbrook on a jump shot as a big man, he is a all-star waiting to be year in, year out. You got Tyler Hero, who's going to be winning Sixth Man of the Year this year. He's probably going to be a starter next year. You got chubby Lowry that is still faster than anyone on the court. I wish I could do that. He's got baby fat, but yet he's still so quick as grease lightning. Oladipo's still not playing yet. You've got
coming back Monday.
Is he coming back Monday? Okay, good. Who else have I not mentioned on this Heat team? You got Tucker. this team is just all well-rounded. I don't think you give up everything you've got to have LeBron. Like, you're even talking picks. Like, even in there again, you're giving up depth. You're giving up your future just to have LeBron for who knows how long. That's what I don't understand these franchises. I mean, I know you won a championship. Trust me, I know, and that's the whole purpose of it. But if you don't make it there, it was worthless, and that's what always scares me. Because right now, I mean, the Lakers won one, but right now it's looking pretty bad for them to win another one anytime soon.
It's true. Very true.
So I would not do that if I was Miami. And Pat, I'm gonna pull this up just for the viewers. Oh, wrong one. Pat Riley, right there. That is Pat Riley, basketball card at Kentucky. He is not going to do that. What do you think? I kind of took all the time there on that one. What do you think?
Nah, I agree. I agree, man. I don't see them. I don't see them making that move. Again, they like Miami. They like their team right now. They have the depth. LeBron, it's just so much that goes into getting LeBron, more than just the X's and O's of basketball. So yeah, I don't think it's a good fit. They got to try to figure it out in LA. Figure out what's going on, man.
Man, oh man, we would be millionaires if we could figure that out. But still, I just think it's a few shooters. And what's crazy is you can find shooters in G leagues. Like, they really could find a shooter that could probably come out. I don't know why they haven't tried. But I'd almost go overseas. I mean, they always have good shooters over there, right?
Yeah, they got to find something. Man. I don't know. But right now, it's a lost season. Definitely.
And it makes me happy. I'm sorry, LeBron James, and all you LeBron lovers. But with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this show up with Count the Bucket. Thank you, CJ, for joining in. And like I said, anytime you want to be on here, you are a co-host in my heart. So you come on here anytime. We are wanting to try to move this to Sunday. I know that makes it a little bit harder for you, but this 9:30 time, I think, is going to be a lot better. Saturdays, a lot of people are out doing stuff, living it up. If you're like me, 36 years old, and got 3 babies, you've got Saturday to do absolutely nothing. But we're going to try to start transitioning to a Sunday show at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, that is. And hopefully next week we can have Nick and Mark on here again, and also with CJ as well. Hopefully. But CJ, go ahead and just give out some of your socials and your shows you got there, which I'm absolutely loving the podcast, by the way. I've subscribed now.
I appreciate that, man. Guard Up Podcast again. New episode coming soon. The Hard Count. Also, Connie and I will be back on Tuesday, break down the NFL free agency and what's going on in the NFL football world. That's
time out.
Yep.
Let me ask: are my Cowboys really not going to sign Cooper back?
Yeah, it's got a sacrifice, and he's getting paid a lot of money right now, $26 million, and it's either probably going to be him or DeMarcus Lawrence in terms of some of those big contracts that are probably going to be moved. Can't move Zeke because all that money's guaranteed right now. So yeah, it's looking likely. It looked like they're going to give Gallup probably a more reasonable, cheaper deal, and he's going to be the number 2, and CD is going to transition to that number 1 guy.
That breaks my heart. I mean, I want Lamb as the number 1 because, he's Lamb and he's freaking awesome. But Cooper, I really like Cooper. And I know we's wrapping this up, but I'm going to say this. Cooper route runs so well, and I think he's very underrated because of where he's played with the Raiders and now the Cowboys. Like, I think is the sole factor that we were playing good a couple years ago, because when we made the trade with the Raiders, we went like on I want to say 6-0 stretch there. So it breaks my heart. Please sign back. Dak, take a pay cut. Zeke, renegotiate that contract. You suck anyways. Pollard needs to be starting over you because you can't hardly run fast anymore. But with that being said, my name is Michael. Check me out on MD Lawson 00 on everything. If you haven't downloaded Colorcast, go download Colorcast now. My username on there is MD Lawson 00 USN on that. You can type in on the search bar USN and find all of our Unwrapped Sports Network people on there. We would appreciate all the follows. Of course, like we were talking about with the podcast, Count the Bucket has a podcast. Also, my second show on Thursday nights at 9 p.m., Backstop Banter has a podcast. Go check us out. Of course, that's 9 p.m. Eastern time as well, and all that good stuff. So with that being said, guys, everyone, y'all have a good day or a good night.
Yes, have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.